What's up? Let's go, Teddy. Pumped that you're on, brother.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
so much.
joining me today. Here to tell your story, but obviously you're in the music space. Let's start there. Let's start how Teddy became or how the music became the part of who you are, where you're like, hey, this is the thing I'm gonna run with.
Great, great. Thanks for having me, Nick. You're the best.
Of course, dude.
Um, yeah, I've been playing music my whole life. My dad taught me how to play music, taught me how to play guitar. He's a guitarist himself. So since the age of 6, I've been playing guitar, but it was always in the back burner. I was born and raised into the philosophy of getting an education and working.
Yeah,
So my whole life, I was pre-med ever since I was a child. I knew I was going to be the doctor of the family. And so I got all the way to pharmacy school. And in the second year of pharmacy school, as much hair as I have now, I started losing hair, hypertension,
yeah.
and it was not for me. And so through in that loss of identity, there was a huge spot of darkness. And in that darkness, it was so clear to me
Right.
more than ever that I'm a guitarist, I'm a musician, and I tap in when I play, and it feels good to me and feel good to others. So I feel like this is what I should be doing. And so it's from the
Gotcha.
year of 2017,
Okay.
2018, I decided that, I'm a musician, I'm a full-time musician, and this is going to be what I do. But before that decision was a great awakening that happened to me. So it
Yeah,
wasn't just
yeah,
the
yeah.
music, it's
Right.
the decision to be the highest version of yourself and
For,
share that to the world to
for sure,
inspire
for
them to
sure.
that same
How
decision.
much how much playing were you doing from 6 to 17 or 18 when you said, hey, this is going to be a full-time thing? Was this a weekend thing? Was this a daily thing? Like how much from a
It
time
was
standpoint?
it's crazy how like throughout all this stress, a lot of stress, undergrad, I have two bachelors. I was a full-time student my whole life from 18 to 23, but I found a way to play guitar every single day. I don't know how,
Okay.
but I played every single day, and I got so many opportunities that I turned down. I had opportunities to travel the world, to play in different bands, and I always said no for
Right.
school,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, yeah.
they always
All
came
good.
up. They always came up. Yeah.
No, makes sense. And then from how was that realization from, hey, I'm going to be the family doctor to shit, this is not my path? Was that all in an instant thing, or was that gradually over the course of the hair loss and the stress and everything else that was coming with it?
Yeah, it was definitely gradual. From 2017, 2017 is when pharmacy school ended, and is when
Okay,
2018 is when I decided. So that
gotcha.
year was pure
Right,
darkness,
gotcha.
discomfort, like no orientation of where I'm heading in life. I fought the urge, or fought the calling to be a musician.
Yeah,
But all the signs pointed me in the right direction, and I was led here to where I am today. So it's a beautiful thing.
gotcha. All good. And then from that year, right? Give us that. Just give me brief. Hey, what was okay? Pharmacy school is ending. This is not for me. And then was it a gig here, a gig there? Was there a launch pad on
So,
the music world?
so in 2017, a few months after I got kicked out of pharmacy school, I
Right.
decided I I knew that, so this whole time I was supposed to be a millionaire, So
Yeah.
in those 4 months, I gathered a plan of, okay, the first step is maybe to get a job, to have some income and then work your way up. And so I
Right.
worked in a bank.
Okay.
And when I worked in the bank, that's when TD Bank, everything changed because every client, every employee, every situation, every transaction was pointing me and pushing me in the right direction. And one of the things that happened was I ran into a drummer that I knew,
Okay.
and he was banking there. I hadn't known, so he was like, "Oh, you're in TD Bank now? I thought you were going to school." And I told him, "No, I'm not going anymore. I really want to play music now." He's like, "Oh, okay. Well, just hang around with me." And he still is a full-time drummer, like
Okay.
full calendar.
Yeah.
So I would And he never saw me. He saw me touch the guitar once at Guitar Center, but he never knew if I can play or not. And he
Right.
went on a whim, and I just told him, "Listen, I want to play." So he said, "Whenever I play, just follow me around." And he just, while he was on stage with the band, he asked the band leader, "Hey, I have a guitarist here. Could you let him play?" And he was very uncomfortable, but
Yeah.
I pushed him to say yes because I already had my guitar in my bag. I had my amp. I'm like, come on, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. He was like, okay, fine.
Right.
And none of these guys heard me play.
Yeah.
I've never played with them before. I don't know what songs they're gonna play, but I'm like, hey, I'm ready to play.
Yeah.
And when I played, I did a fairly good job. And
Right.
from there, that band leader put me on to a lot of his gigs, and then
Gotcha.
that's
Okay.
right, and that's how I
Okay.
branched out. But before that, I did start a band with my dad while I was in school. Everything was in school, so I started a band with my dad. Before
Okay.
that, I used to go to Orlando while I was in school. But
Gotcha.
all of these endeavors got cut short because I prioritized school. So it was always a small hump, small spike, and then back to school. But this
Okay.
time,
Okay. Gotcha.
now this drummer, the day I got fired from TD Bank because I would call out to go to gigs and I would get into real estate. So I called out to go to conferences and stuff. So they're like, you know what? So I got fired. And the day I got fired, I called the drummer. I'm like, you wouldn't believe this. I got fired. And then he asked me, do you have your guitar? I'm like, yes, I do. And he was like, well, I'm playing down the street. So you're on the gig tonight.
There
And
you
from
go.
there,
Perfect.
that's what happened. From
Perfect.
there, I embarked on my musical career. That's when it started in 2018.
Got it. I got it. Well, and that's also for the people that have not been around the music industry for a band to say, "Hey, come play with us. We've never heard you play. We have no idea
Yeah.
what you're like." That's a huge leap. That's not a, "Hey, man, do you want to come play at my barbecue while we're
Right.
chilling out back?" That's a, "Hey, we
Yeah.
have our gig. You come on
Yes.
stage and you screw this up and you can't play. Like it's gonna look
Yeah.
terrible on us."
And they
Um.
started the first set without a guitarist too, so there was no guitar there. That
Oh
was the
wow.
whole band. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
during break time, we did this, and then
Gotcha.
this
Gotcha.
doesn't happen. I don't think anyone has that story. Maybe, but that I've never heard a story like that.
Right. Well, no, that's perfect that they, hey, we don't have somebody. Like, cool. Like, I don't know what you play, but I promise you, I can play. Right?
Yeah.
I can play. I wouldn't have the amp and the guitar ready to rock if I couldn't play.
Mhm.
I'm not just,
Exactly.
hey, I bought this 2 days ago. Let me here. Hang. What's up, guys? Can I strum with you?
Exactly.
Um, the that let go from TD Bank, right? So I'm a huge best case scenario silver lining guy. Was
Mhm.
that like how were you down at all? Was there a, oh man, what's next? Like what did that creep in?
Oh yeah, it was pure darkness. Like I said, it was a year of darkness. Even while I was in TD Bank, I'm scrummaging, trying to find my way. I'm on the internet researching, and I'm just finding out. This is 2017. I'm just finding out about a lot of things. I thought I
Yeah,
was smart, and I realized I wasn't. So I
right.
started binging on information to where I was in there just searching, going, not sleeping, going home, searching, reading. I read so many books in 1 year. I'm like, I don't know how I did that. And but it was darkness because I didn't know. I was uncomfortable. I didn't know where I was going. For the first time, I felt no control.
Right.
But I was very much guided,
Yeah,
very much.
yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
Well, and that's the I'm talking to a few people right now that are trying to figure out what that next thing is, right? And
Hmm.
every I'm telling everybody like you can't we can't hold on to whoever you are right now. I can't hold on
Right.
to the job. I can't hold on to whatever the thing is, the relationship, whatever that identity you had.
Hmm.
Like you saying, "Oh man, I'm ready for the next thing," while you're holding on to the other thing. It's not
Hmm.
like the world is not going to be like, "Okay, well here you go, Teddy. Here's your
Right.
next thing," while you're still like, "Well, this is who I am," right? So
Right.
that that
Hmm.
initial let go of, "Oh shit, I don't know what's next," is usually your springboard. And that's not saying it's going to happen instantly or it's going to happen on a phone call that same day, right? But the me being let go in 23 from my last job that I had,
Hmm.
right? Like I printed money 2 days later,
Oh.
right? Printed money 2 days later. They're like, "Hey, Nick, here's a giant check. Game on, keep going." I was like, oh, this is what we were ready for, right?
This
So
big.
if you are here, Teddy, how much of that internal? Like you said, you read more books ever, right? And I know some of the story, but how much of that deep dive was Was that intentional or was that just searching? Was that a, hey, I'm going to sit down and figure this out? Or was it a, I'm not sure what's next. Let me figure out what else I can dive into?
You actually answered your own question with the letting go portion.
Okay.
When you I finally let go, and when I let go, I had nothing but an influx of realization and clarity.
Yeah.
That's when the light comes, is when there's darkness. When there's so much
Right.
light and distraction, that ultimate light is just masked, and it's practically hidden. In that darkness, the awakening happened to me.
Right.
And so from that point on, it's almost, and I always like to use this example of binging. You know how you binge on TV shows or music after
Yep.
discovering something that's been there and you never realized,
Right.
and you kind of feel dumb. I feel like, man, where have I been?
Yeah.
So with information, there's certain things, pieces of information when you're exposed to, that's what illuminates you. Illuminati. That's what illuminates you. Is you're activated. You were at a dormant state, and now that you're active, things are just happening.
Right.
So I didn't even look for this, but in this happening to me so organically, now I have the blueprint of the best way for it to happen. It's by putting yourself in the best position for it to be available to you, making
Right.
yourself available for that light.
For sure. For sure. Well, and for you, that was the serendipitous. Oh no, we don't have a guitarist. Hey, I have mine. I have my amp. I'm ready to rock. Let's go. On
Mm-hmm.
that's a very practical, you specific situation, right? But everybody talks about, hey, you're just lucky, or you put yourselves in the right situations.
Mm-hmm.
How can you dive a little more into that blueprint, into if I'm trying to figure out what's next, or I'm somebody listening right now, how do I just let go? Okay, Teddy, thanks. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Can you dive a little more into that, just that spiritual journey you went on?
Mm-hmm.
Like as deep as you want to go, but hey, give us a little bit more behind the curtain of what that blueprint looks like, or how you got to where you were at.
Okay. A lot of people, they for many reasons, depending on who they are, they come to me with questions like, I'm unsure about this. What's the decision I should make? What's this? What's that? And oftentimes, I just come back with the best remark for them to answer the question themselves,
Sure.
because we do know and we do feel, we do have inklings of, maybe I should do this, maybe I shouldn't go here or not. What I'm saying is intuition.
Right.
The problem is that we always suppress it and always ignore our intuition. And our intuition is that inner roadmap, compass that's leading us where we need to go, but we just deviate from it. So when you have something inside of you that you feel, the point is to flame that, fire that up, fuel it, and it will grow. That's the beginning of it, is realizing, you know what, man, I knew this the whole time. I'm just gonna accept it. So accepting what is almost like, I can't tell you. There's always something inside of you that you've known that exists. So
Yeah.
ever since I was a kid, I knew that, for instance, religion wasn't my thing. I was
Sure.
6 years old. My mom was Jehovah's Witness. My dad, not so much. My mom, and when they're teaching, I'm 6 years old and they're teaching me about the Bible. And the very first line, I'm like, I don't know about this, but I
Right.
never, as a child, and, I consider myself a good child. I always wanted to obey. So I'm like, I'm going to obey my parents, but there's something inside me that I don't feel good about this. But
Right.
I always suppressed that. It's until this point where there was this darkness where all of these answers came.
Yep.
So there's this thing that's dormant that we can feel the presence of, but we don't entertain it enough.
For
So
sure.
when we entertain it enough, that's when the clarity comes, and it's like, oh, remember this question that you had? Well, it might be over here. Or remember this question you had? You remember this discomfort? It might be over here. So it's when you finally accept the imbalance in yourself. You're like, man, I'm not happy with myself, and I don't want to be here anymore. And that's when the light finally says, finally, here you go. You remember when you said, talking about what if, like, if it's possible, just
Right.
putting yourself in that vibration of, hey, maybe. And that's when things ignite inside of you. And that's when the universe finally can reveal itself to you and reveal your power and your objective of being here, your purpose of being here.
Right.
So the blueprint is more of really understanding that everything heals itself. And if you feel like you're not healed, it happens organically and on its own if you allow. So the first word, the two words is intuition and allowing. Those two
Right.
words coupled is the talisman.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All good. Do you think that is beat out of you is the wrong word, but do you think that's beat out of you, whether physically or mentally, as a kid, regardless of your situation? Because like as a child, you're going to ask 1,000 times. You don't care about the nose. You don't care about whatever it is. You just care about whatever the cookie at 9 a.m. Right?
Right.
Um, is that is it a is it just a scared? I don't know. I don't want to look inward, or
Mm-hmm.
do you think it's a hey, this when I was pick an age, I was told to stop asking for whatever it is, so I just stopped asking the questions.
It's actually a combination of both.
Okay.
We're programmed to do that. You know, if you're in school, stop imagining. You know, you're at the moon. You know, stop using. You know, if you what do you want to be when you grow up? And
Right.
if it's not an employee, they come back like, "Hey, are you sure you want to be a movie star, or you want to be a rich business owner? You want to be an off?" You know, they box you in little by little into these choices, and you are given the illusion of choices. What I like to talk about. We can get into that.
Yeah.
Where
Sure.
if it's multiple choice, but you're giving me four choices, I really don't have a choice, do I? I
Right.
have 25% control because there's only four options.
Right.
So they box us into that, and to where now we feel the obligation to not look inward. We externalize what God is. We externalize success. We externalize happiness. And that's how you're veered 100% away from what it is. And the exact truth is we're going inward, we're going within, and that's when it starts.
Right.
So the fear is embedded and implanted in us.
Yeah, no, I love that. My one of my favorite lines from any song ever is a Sister Hazel line, or it's just Change Your Mind is the name of the song, right? But
And
if you want to be somebody else, if you're tired of fighting battles with yourself, and it says change your mind at the end, I'm like, this is this is the blueprint, everybody. Hey, like, and if that's go if that's learning more about the religious side, if that's learning more about your internal side, if that's dealing with whatever it was in your past that you haven't run into,
mm-hmm.
how other than like, hey, go hire a professional, right?
Right.
Looking at whatever that darkness is that you had, or whatever that issue is that you had, how do you face that head on at any level? Was that a book? Was that just the meditation side? Like, how did you deal with whatever the Teddy trauma, if that's what we want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
was?
So it's clarity. It's almost like, you know, it was very hard for me and for my parents to accept that, you know, I want to be a musician. But the reason why it's hard is for one reason. There's no pathway, or there's to them, they're not aware of a pathway that leads to success. If I told you I
Right,
want to be a nurse, you can have faith in me. You know that there's programs and then there's a blueprint that's been established for decades or centuries, or, you know, yeah, decades of
right,
how to become a nurse. And you're exposed to that information. And so it sounds realistic to you.
right,
But if my dream is unorthodox and there's no common pathway,
right.
that's when the doubt comes in. So
Sure.
for me, it was darkness only until I realized that a lot of musicians are doing this. And I came upon the blueprint that's never been exposed to me.
Right.
And that's when I got confident. So that's why I
Gotcha.
always tell people it's really the exact vibration that you're exposed to, whether it's information, books, or just a saying, just some expressions that
Right.
ignite you and bring clarity. It's the clarity that helps you push through. No one's going to
Sure.
tell me I'm going to fail because I know what I'm doing. And
Right.
it's even
Right.
more it's even more beautiful when I realize oh, not many people know. So
Right.
I'm actually at an advantage. I have a bird's eye view here. So I'm even more confident. You're telling me I'm a boss and you're not. And you can't understand my scale, my tax bracket. So I
Right.
thank you. And now I'm even more fired up.
Correct. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Well, it's also there is somebody even if it's just a history book, there's somebody who wants to do what or that has done what you want to do, right? It
Yes.
might not be the nursing path or the doctor path or the lawyer path, right? But there
Mm-hmm.
is somebody that is doing what you want to do right now, and they might be 50 years down the line, they might be a year and a half ahead of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But did you study anybody inside of that for just other obviously this drummer, right? But was
Mm-hmm.
there anybody where you said, hey, this is what I want to emulate, or hey, how are you getting whatever gigs you're getting?
Yeah. There's been a few musicians, but they're not known, but they're local musicians.
Okay.
And every time I would go out, I would see them.
Yeah.
And how are you playing everywhere? And in my
Yeah.
mind, I'm like, you're great, you're talented, but I've seen better musicians play less.
Right.
Why
Correct.
why is it that you are landing all these gigs
Right.
and
Right.
and and gathering information from all of them, not just
Sure.
one of them,
Right.
from all of them. So like the celebrity musicians and all that, you can relate to their story in the beginning, but then it comes to a certain point, you might not even reach them, and they might not be offering the blueprint. But
Right.
these
Correct.
people here are offering it from me asking. You got to ask the right questions, of course.
Yeah.
And that's when I was able to see, I'm like, oh, okay. But then there was another, it's almost like learning and unlearning that we know about, right?
Right.
After learning from them, I realized that being an active musician at these public gatherings or these public locations, it actually entails you not having money. So for a year, I didn't realize that until I was playing a lot, and I'm like, oh my god, I still have no money. So then,
Right.
so kind of
I'm everywhere, and a hundred bucks a show is not it.
no. So I realized that okay, who I'm learning from, I've already outgrown their mentality,
Right.
and so from there, I fell upon some corporate musicians.
Okay.
And these are musicians that play corporate gigs, get paid more,
Right.
maybe play less, but play a set schedule every month. They play
Right.
often. And I'm like, oh, so you're making more money, playing in better crowds, a better targeted audience.
Right.
So how do you do that?
Yeah.
And then there's different platforms online where you can find those things. And
Right.
really, to be honest, it's really about being personable.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
genuinely love people,
Right.
genuinely love people. And most of the time they love me too. And I found that that's really the best way to organically bring opportunity is to
Sure.
give love, and then that's when it returns. And I
Sure.
realized that all the other people that were gigging in bars and clubs,
Yeah.
they were reticent to share certain things. I saw that there's not so much love. I gave so much love and didn't get it reciprocated back, but I always gave it back, not knowing what I was doing, but
Right.
realized, oh, this whole time it's the loving that gets all those big opportunities. And of course, the format of how visualization works and all that. And I realized that the most successful people actually have some type of knowledge when it comes to this metaphysical, uh, hidden occult knowledge that
Sure.
really runs everything. You know,
Right.
the
Right.
behind the scenes of how you make things happen. So a lot
Sure.
of people had that knowledge while they were succeeding. So I'm like, ooh, I'm into that knowledge. So now I have to couple that knowledge in the music entertainment world, and that's what will happen. So
Right.
it wasn't many people because not many. I haven't found many people doing this. It was just a conglomerate of all these sources, and then I found a blueprint that works. I'm like, oh, this is what it is.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So you're saying there's no marketing course I can go buy that's just gonna, hey, now I'm at the top. It's crazy.
I'm waiting for
Crazy.
it. If you stumble upon one, I'll take it. As much as I think I know, I'll sign up for that immediately. Because no, yeah,
Here,
I haven't found
here it is, everybody. You are now successful.
it.
On that question, right? Just like success, right?
Hmm.
Very much a like an arbitrary term of, hey, here is whether they're doing better than you or worse than you, right?
Hmm.
Hey, that person is now successful. And our great late friend Mr. Marley said that, being rich has nothing zero to do with money and 100% to do with your relationships and friends. How did you figure out what success looked like to you after we had the mental shift from I'm going to be a doctor to, oh shit, what does this look like as a musician?
It's gonna sound cliche and it's gonna sound corny, but from a dream, really from a dream, where if you feel that's why when they get people who get rich realize that getting rich wasn't and wasn't fulfilling is because they got to feel what it feels like to be rich.
Right.
Luckily for me, through various dreams, we could talk about the dream world too. I got to feel what it felt like to really be successful. As far as I really saw this, me being a musician, playing with the musicians I want to play or playing by myself,
Right.
being loved by the unique vibrations that I offer.
Yeah.
And this is all in the dream. And seeing the effect that people felt from my vibrations that I offered, and seeing people being healed and 100% infested with love by what I'm providing.
Right.
When I woke up, it's bliss, pure tears. It's like this is what I want to feel in real life, and
Right.
this is the starting point. This is the standard to
Yeah.
make everyone realize that there's this God that's inside of them, and we're a direct piece of that. And how to get to that realization is getting a snippet of that feeling, and we get that
Sure.
snippet from someone making you feel it,
Right.
and then you find a way to cultivate it within yourself. That success feeling, I can taste it as I'm talking about it now. It's so tangible to me,
Yeah.
and it's such a beautiful reference point because I know what it feels like to heal someone with my words and with my musical vibrations. And that's always the standard. It's not the money, it's the shift that you can make someone go through single-handedly by making them feel high vibrations. So
Sure.
that's the standard. That's success. I don't need to hear anything about anything else other than love.
Yeah. For people that have never dove into that visualization side, was that a obviously just like everything else, something you have to work at.
Mm-hmm.
When you saw that, was that first person, like
Mm-hmm.
you and the crowd, or was that third person, or we're gonna quote out of body, but third person where it's you and the crowd and whoever else? Like how did you go from, hey, visualization exists to this is exactly the stage I want to be on, the people I'm playing with and the people I'm healing?
Beautiful question. Beautiful, beautiful question. Because then you know the answer too. You're setting me up. You know the answer. It's third person.
Okay.
It's third person, but then it merges into it's in and out, weaving out of third person and being the character in the moment. Realize so you identify just to remind yourself, hey, third person energy, this
Right.
is you. So you're in and
Right.
out of this, oh, this is me, Teddy, playing, but then I realize the impact. And to be able to realize the impact is third person. So that third person outside of yourself point of view is pure objectivity and it brings clarity to where you're like, it's non-ego. It's not like look at what I can do to people. It's not that.
Right.
It's hey, look at how much power we have if we focus on it and cultivate it.
Right.
So it's teaching me what I can be. So it's not even me this whole time that I'm looking at a version of a Teddy, but it's third person the entire time. And it's showing you the impact that all humans are to have in a different way. So we all would have this dream if we really wanted to, if we had the vibrational allowance. We all would have our version of a dream of where or how we could influence and really the purpose. A lot of people don't really know their purpose. Even throughout the journey, still don't have the purpose. The purpose is you have your way of impacting the world to make everyone feel love. I can make the Grinch realize, like, oh my God, I don't know if you remember that scene where he's like,
Yeah, yeah,
oh my God,
absolutely. Yep.
I'm free,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Everyone has that power to ignite that within ourselves and with people
Right.
or inside of people. And we have to find it. It comes to us, really. It comes to us.
For
And
sure.
so that's the success format that I've realized. It's not
Gotcha.
about you. It's a third
Right.
person, and it's one goal to elevate the ultimate vibration of this world.
For sure. If I'm brand new to this visualization dream world,
Mm-hmm.
how do I get started? Is that just a sit down, fingers crossed, hands on my knees, and we're humming? Like how
Mm-hmm.
did you tell me your first, like your first, let's go zero to, if we're gonna use grades, your zero to middle school of
Okay.
visualization.
Okay. What's beautiful about and what makes me passionate about talking about these things is that we are all already doing it. That's the beautiful thing. There's a quote: "The truth is so true that it applies to you, whether you're aware of it or not." So just like Jim Carrey, he had a story about how he wanted a red bike so bad, and he just smelled it. He rang in his mind. He rang the bell. All these things, and included all of his five senses into it.
Right.
And short amount of time, he just found that bike there.
Yeah.
So for me, I had many instances like that where I got my first electric guitar at 10 years old. And at that time, as you can understand, my parents weren't really about the music thing. So I had a little acoustic guitar, junior acoustic guitar, but I knew I'm not going to ask my parents for electric guitar. The answer is no. So I'm like, man, it just would be so nice, and I just saw the black guitar, black and white, oh, a beautiful fret, a Fender guitar, and it's just so beautiful. My little amp, and I went through that. And then for my 10th birthday, my uncle knocks on the door, and that very same guitar is there.
Let's go. Let's go.
So this happened a lot through my life. That's how I got into pharmacy school. That's
Yeah.
how I've landed women that I've seen in my dreams. Like I saw you, and here you are. So I've had many reference points to realize, like, oh, this is how it works. So when I was finally exposed to that format of, look, if you believe it, if you can see it in your mind, it could happen. And
Right.
also that your mind is a projector. Now I was able to couple that with my past experiences, which is what we all do.
Right.
If we're able to look back enough efficiently. And I'm like, oh, so this is so true that I've already been doing it. The things that you see happen because you've already visualized. We
Right.
might not remember visualizing this conversation, you and I, but
Sure.
it did happen.
Right.
It's by default, it happened.
Right.
Because if it's happening now, that means it happened in the higher realms before, as above, so below, one of the
Right.
universal laws. So if it's
Right.
happening down here, it happened above.
Yeah.
And so turning, they call these terms, there's a term called unconscious competence to conscious competence, where you've been competent, but you've been unconsciously doing it. So now,
Gotcha.
if we make it conscious and you can deliberately think of something and make it happen, that's when we're in control. And that's what we're teaching as many souls as we can.
Right. Right.
It starts with you. If it could happen inside of you, it's done.
Right.
And so, like, a lot, we get stuck on, the meditating part, the positioning, the breath work. All of those are great, and all of those are useful tools, but
Yeah.
they're stages to where the point is to be able to desire it, and just by the mere desiring it makes it on its way and makes it happen, and to where
Right.
we close that gap of manifestation where, man, I wish I can get a gig, man, I really need a gig next week, and within 2 hours you get a call.
Yeah.
That's normal. That's
Right.
not special. That's not
Right.
anything, that's the norm. We're just less than our true powers. So through the years, it's just been going that way, to where it's not even the highest level of visualization is just wanting and knowing it's coming and just waiting for it. Like, because I want this, is coming and it's coming.
Right. Um, that's gold. From a so not just the visualization side. When you said, "Hey, I met the girl in the dream in real life when it happens,"
Hmm.
the unconsciousness to "Hey, now I'm consciously competent. Is
Hmm.
how much of that goes into the reason people people are quote lost or can't find whatever it is
Hmm.
the thing that I'm supposed to be doing, right?
Hmm.
How is that a because usually the two or three times where I've just turned it on, right? Or when the back's against the wall, or hey, this has to happen now because of this other external circumstance.
Right.
How do I take that from, hey, I have no money in the account, or hey, we're getting fired from the thing, or hey, whatever the bad thing is.
Hmm.
How can I invoke that before we get to that point?
So visualization works because, or if you dream about it, it works because you are in that vibration. You so when you incorporate all your senses, um, it forces you to be in that vibration.
Right.
So when you're for you to find your purpose, it's a specific vibration that you need. It's not a thought. It's there's different ways to get to that vibration. Maybe something you said, maybe a
Right.
song like you just quoted,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
maybe an inspiring idea, but it's not those things that manifest it. It's the resulting vibration that occurs inside you
Right.
that
Right.
makes it. So to
Correct.
find your purpose, it's basically ask and you shall receive, as we've heard.
Yeah.
You've never asked, and the problem is we don't know how to ask.
Right.
So knowing how to ask, meaning it's not how do I get rich? How do I find it's not that.
Yeah.
We do need those basic needs, and you do need to face and address those basic needs.
Sure.
But it has to go beyond that. It's like, how do I feel good? And what would make me feel good? And more importantly, what does it mean to feel good? What does that even mean?
Right.
So
Right.
whenever if we can just focus on putting ourselves in the vibration of receiving and allowing that
Yeah.
idea. So basically asking, okay, so I really want to find my purpose. I don't even care what it ends up being, as
Ooh.
long as it really
Ooh.
is my purpose.
Ooh.
That's
There it
when it
is.
really comes.
There it is. Right. Right. Because
That's when it,
everybody, not everybody, right? But you're at whatever age, you're like, this is the thing. This is what I'm going to do. Right.
mm-hmm,
And guess what? The best laid plans are amazing and they're awesome and they're usually good for 25 minutes, maybe if you're lucky.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Right. And then you're like, oh, hey, here are the 19,000 other things that are going to happen inside of there. The being open to, I don't care what it is.
mm-hmm.
I am just ready for it. And
Yes.
whenever it happens, okay, cool. I'm going to lean into that. That's not something that is a quick snap of a finger
No.
because you were always that person, right? But you were hanging on to whatever it is, the sports, the
Mm-hmm,
fight, the who you were before, the relationship, the money, whatever the thing was that you were so attached to that
mm-hmm.
hey, now I'm not open to whatever the next possibility is.
Exactly.
Because hey,
So we're
this
looking.
is who I am. But
So we're asking ourselves to, or we're asking the world to finally give us why we're here. Prove me wrong. Show, like you're asking, where was I wrong? It's not about, I got this, I'm smart, I understand, I've read books. None of that. It's like, okay, I clearly have something wrong. Let me know. And then that's when you realize, oh man, this whole time I should have been keeping my room clean. I thought that that was an arbitrary, thing that's not correlated to these things, but it's when you finally accept the things that you weren't ever doing or weren't ever accepting as a factor. It actually is a factor. You're like, you know what? Fine. I'll finally do it.
right,
And then that's when things point in the right direction.
100%, 100%.
You have to accept that you've been fucking up.
Right,
That's when you find your purpose.
exactly.
I choose not to fuck up anymore. And you're showing the universe that you're willing to sacrifice and let go of things that you held on to forever. You're like, you know what? I thought this was good, but maybe I should stop.
Yeah.
That's when the universe is like, oh, so you're serious now. Okay, well, look, your purpose was right in your face this whole time. Here it is. Boom. Oh my God.
Here it is, a day later, a week later, a year. At some
Really?
point, right, you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
be when it happens to you, and you're gonna be like, oh man, this coincidence just no, it didn't. No, it didn't.
No.
It was there the whole time. You were finally open to, okay, cool, let's just let this happen. And it's so easy once it happens. But that's also if you haven't seen Limitless, the first thing he
I,
does after he takes the pill is clean the absolute shit out of his apartment. Right?
yeah.
It's not go start the business or go do the marketing
Right.
or go do anything. It's hey, oh, my house is shit. Let's
Yes.
fix that. Go. Right. So that's if you're listening to this right, and I don't need you to be OCD where hey, this all of your screws are lined up perfectly inside of your light switches. If you get there, like a couple of my uncles do, game on. Good for you. But if you are holding on to a bunch of clutter or a bunch of other stuff, that is a reflection of everything that's going on here or here,
Yes.
not just oh man, your room's a disaster.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
So
it's translating something to you.
correct.
We're trying to interpret these translations correctly, and that's when things line up.
Exactly.
Maybe you shouldn't be an asshole to people, you know, as much as you hate people, and
Right.
I can relate to that. As much as I
Yeah,
just said I love people,
for sure.
that I resent people a lot too. But
Yeah.
being an asshole, even as right as you think it feels, maybe it's wrong. Maybe you should be nice and be loving. And then you'll find on the other side, that's the conduit and that's the precursor to this clarity.
Right.
Being loving, being true, standing on your ground, finding the fine line between love and assertiveness. There's just fine lines in everything. And once you find the fine line in one thing, you realize there's a fine line in everything.
Yeah.
You can be stern. You don't have to be an asshole to females to be stern. You know, I've been walked over by females. So then in turn, I just went to the other extremity thinking, okay, this is how it really goes.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't care about you, girl. Like, what do you got for me? Or nothing. All right, move on. You know, then you realize, oh, I shouldn't be doing that either.
Right.
It's just love everybody. So it's a teeter-tottering where you're balancing between these things. If you're aware of it, it's just like left, right in the spectrum. And then the middle pathway is what, you know, that's what Buddha teaches. That's what all these people are, these teachings teach. It's the mid road.
Right.
It's not left. It's not really, people want to talk about how we should leave the left brain and go to the right side of the brain. But that's still wrong too. It's the mid brain. That's where the pineal gland is.
It's where all your connections are happening too. Guess what? Without that whole middle and all those synapses firing everybody, like they don't talk.
Yes.
They don't talk.
Exactly.
And
so it's good that you've crossed the bridge, but you don't want to leave either one. You want to be able to stay grounded right in between to where everything is clear. No, I have no questions. Whatever questions that arise in my mind, I just stay in the middle and it comes to me. Whatever tumultuous situation in my life, I stay in the middle. And we forget, you know, this third eye that a lot of people want to talk about. It's in the middle of the brain. So if you rely solely on your intuition, you are fucked. If you rely solely on this logic, you're even more fucked. It's the combination of the two is balance. It's accepting that we are darkness and light.
Right.
That's when it comes.
Well, for sure. And you also have those, I loved the logic versus emotion side there, right? Because I can't just circle XE everything and compartmentalize the shit out of all of it, right? Like I still need you to feel something. You're not just gonna be like, okay, cool. Well, I went through this checklist. We're good now. Done. Like, cool. Do you have things that are like that? Sure. But each of us have 5, 10, maybe 20 moments that you can think back to right now where that feeling was there. How do you recreate that? And if that's on the field, if that's with family, if that's just you by yourself at a place.
Recreating what feeling exactly? What feeling are we recreating? You said how do you recreate?
You have that. I just call it joy.
Okay.
right? You have pure joy in your life somewhere
Mm-hmm.
that existed at some point, right? And for me here recently, like it was just Grand Canyon, just seeing it all. I was like, oh hey, we are this little, and I love it. uh,
Right.
but but those moments, how can you recreate more of those versus, hey, I'm going through the motions, I'm just doing the thing, or you're away on the other end, you're only chasing the feeling, right? So that's where
Mhm.
like the whole drug side of things,
Right.
you're just chasing the next high, chasing the next high, chasing the next high.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're not contributing anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? So how can you bring, you said it earlier, hey, how can I speak to however many more souls to get
Mm-hmm.
them to awaken and illuminate and have that joy from them? And for you, it's the music, right? Like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
this is my mouthpiece is this guitar right here, or whoever I'm playing with, or whatever it is.
Okay. Beautiful question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what is
So,
like, do you have those one or two moments for you? What are those like for
oh
you?
yes, oh yes. So you said we can. You said we can go where we want to go with this
Oh yeah,
conversation. So the thing about a psychedelic experience is that, or the goal, hopefully, is to bring back that feeling that you had, and that feeling is pure bliss and clarity. And coming back from that, it's almost like you had a great night, and all you can do when you're going to sleep is like, man, what a good night that was. And you harp on it. It's just like, man, it's a good feeling. I want to feel like that every day.
yeah,
So life gives us those chances where there are these nodes of pure joy, but it's easy to forget depending on how much of those moments you have and the intensity of that moment.
right,
If it could be intense enough, it's hard to let go.
yeah,
So with a psychedelic experience, it's so intense to where, and remember, it's not, psychedelics are not addictive per se. So it's not like, oh, I want to do that again.
right,
It's how could I sustain that feeling
correct,
without it in
right,
everyday life here? And so with that reference point, and that's why a blueprint is important, and that's why mentors and guidance is important because you have a reference point. But that's reference points tangibly. This
right,
reference point is a vibration reference point to where even while you were there in that experience psychedelically, if things were to come your way, you didn't know how to vibrate low. You
right,
didn't know how to be mad. You didn't know how to worry. So when you back down here, you'll realize that, okay, I still don't have to worry. I still have that bliss in my pocket. And so when things arise, you have that reference point and it stops you from veering off. And so I invite anyone who feels ready and who's informed enough because I was scared before. And so that was a whole nother dive deep research with psychedelics. And I invite anyone to just study the effects. And by the way, it's now becoming mainstream. So now I'm not
right,
crazy anymore.
right,
Doctors are using it, you know?
correct, right,
And
right,
so if you don't believe me, that's fine. You like the people in the white coat, they're talking about this too. So
for
listen to
sure,
them, and they'll tell you,
right, right,
listen, if you should research about the effects that people have gone through psychedelics and the transformations that people have been able to uh, use or have
right,
from these, and you will realize that, okay, it's really staying grounded the entire time. You're guaranteed for things to work if while things are happening, you're maintaining your composure. And so that joy from those experiences trickled down to my 3D dimensional reality to where I'm able to make even more reference points to where when I lose my job, which I have different jobs. Okay, so I'm not stressed because I know not to be. And through the knowledge, I know that that guarantees me success. If I have no cortisol in my brain or very minimal, guaranteed success, guaranteed control. So those are the things that we're supposed to be focused on, but we don't know that we are to focus on those things. So that's why people like you and I are here to show people the small, intangible, and tangible things that we should focus on to anchor ourselves to success and to guarantee it. I guarantee success by anybody that goes through certain paths, certain steps. And me going through them and me studying them, now I'm able to verbalize them, even though we've said a lot, but we haven't said much to how we can guarantee success.
Right.
And
Right.
that's not an exaggeration.
Correct. Correct. Well, it's also not the here's your one course. Now you're good. Right. Like
Right.
you're gonna have to go through whatever that darkness is for you, face whatever those issues are, and then guess what? On the other side, just like your storm, right? Like there's a calm at the other end of the storm at some point.
Yeah. Yes.
Keep going. Keep going. Teddy, this has been amazing. Where can people find you on either on the social world or for the music? If they want to get in contact, I'll link everything, but go ahead and
Great. Is my name on the bottom there? Do you see
yeah,
Teddy? And then
I got it. Yep, yep.
okay, so that parentheses there for anyone who can see it. That's my Instagram. It's convoluted vibration. There's underscores as you can see, convoluted vibration. And my birthday's coming up. We're not coming up now, but when it's coming up, our birthday, we have the same birthday. This is so beautiful, August 2nd. So I'm working on my book, and that'll be coming out on my birthday. It's going to be my 33rd birthday.
Let's go.
33rd degree.
Nice.
30. So we're saying a lot here, and a lot of things are happening here.
I see you. I see
Yeah.
you.
So that's happening. Look out for that. My YouTube is Convoluted Acoustics.
Okay.
Convoluted Acoustics, and that's when you'll see a lot of my gigs.
Okay.
And so yeah, my Instagram and my YouTube. I'm working on my website as we speak.
Okay. Perfect.
And so I'm trying to make everything foundationally stable to where I want to come out with a bang. So everything. So that's what we're on right now. So I really appreciate this
Absolutely.
opportunity.
For sure. No, Teddy, thanks for coming on and telling your story, brother. This is amazing.
Thank you
And
so much.
we'll talk soon.
Thank you, brother. Love you, man.
Thank you.